Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 3rd of April, Friday. We've got non-farm payrolls coming up. Always a good time. Let's go into the action first. And by the way, I apologize. I get a little bit of stop outs. Today should be the last day that we have to deal with that, with the frame drops. All right, so here on the charts, volume profile. Yesterday was really interesting. So where we left yesterday, we had this huge oil move, and I got in somewhere around after scalping around a little bit, 2,500. And there was a lot of drama over it. I was way too sure about that trade, and I think we have to say at this point that I was wrong. I wasn't dead wrong because in the end we did close up. But many people were skeptical that Saudi Arabia will be able to deliver those oil cuts at the OPEC meeting and really fought the move. It was really something else on the close because when we started coming up towards that 2,500 area, somebody puked hard, and I mean hard. I don't think I've ever seen so many contracts so quickly. They literally 20 points up in a second. It was amazing. So in the end, the buyers did win out here overnight. Again, a little probe and back to 2,500. So we have definitely found a balance area in the equities at least, but probably won't matter for too long because we've got non-farm payrolls. Here in the treasuries, kind of sideways, still pretty wide range. So there's that, and we're not at all-time highs, but we're at all-time closing highs. So keep that in mind. What else we got going on in the other asset classes? The dollar continues to show some strength, probably because of all this oil news. When spreads are moving a little bit too. What about if I look at it from over 2s and 10s? Knob. Now it looks big on my chart, but in the larger scheme of things, it's not. It's just kind of sideways. So I can't draw too much information from that. All right. We made a few changes to our little robot last night. Let's start the text to speech. Make sure that works correctly. There's the ID for the chat. Says it's ready. All right, perfect. It looks like that my Jigsaw is still loading the data from IQ feed. That's interesting. Should double check. I don't think that I got the stuff deposited from AMP, but Gary Norton, in case anyone is in doubt, we are approaching the end of the quarter. Thanks, Gary. Oh, I love that guy. But you know what's so funny about Gary and Norton? And we've been talking about him a lot. I don't know why, but I've just been thinking about him a lot. But when he's on camera, man, he seems so reserved. He seems like such a reserved person. But some of his tweets are not reserved at all. And I love it. We need to refresh this. Okay, go. What else we got? Job losses in March could be the worst in a decade, and that's just the beginning, says CNBC headlines. Let me fix my chair here. I feel a little bit more lazy because my chair is just so much more relaxed now because I don't have to be like up here. And I get the mic every time I walk in here. I can see the microphone hanging off the desk, and I feel cool. Like, yeah, that's a real broadcasting microphone, folks. Now let's say hi to everybody in Discord. You got any predictions for the non-farms payrolls? It's gonna be great, folks. What are the equity guys saying? Okay, a good little push down there in the indexes. Well, let's make sure that we get everything set up here because I would like to, play Sim Hero here during non-farms. A little spike up in the E-mini over the past hour too. That's a little interesting. Big spike up, and they came back quickly. Was there some news that was prompting that? Oh, I don't even have Twitter open. I was reading that last one from my email. Forex Live Canadian mortgage deferrals hit 500,000.
Christoph Chesney says hi. Yes, news.
Rand, Squawk, and Forex Live talking to each other. The ISM non-manufacturing report will be more interesting than the non-farm payrolls. Oh, that is a good point. That's not till much later in the day, right? 8 o'clock ISM, yes. So at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Fauci, physical separation is the only tool known to be effective. Oh my gosh. While I'm thinking about it, quick rant. One of the biggest problems
says Russian producers ready for oil output cuts if U.S. and Saudi also join in. Report that one.
Oh, really? Really? And they're still fading it. Man, somebody just really doesn't want to be. Somebody's just really pessimistic, man. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I was going to say really quick. The biggest problem that we have right now fighting the coronavirus is testing. We don't have enough materials to test. I know there's like kind of this big political game back and forth. I would just ignore it. Like the fact of the matter is that we were not prepared and we don't have the materials, and there's not a whole lot they can do about it. I need to fix my light here. It's a little. There we go. That's a little better. Oh my god. Something on my. I don't know if that's something on my face or what is that? I look tired. Do I look tired to you? To me, I look tired. It's Friday. It's okay. Just something I guess I should note while we're doing all this. That I exhausted myself. I didn't feel like I was working super hard during the week, but when I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, actually you did. So I did a lot. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute to the news. Make sure I get Twitter up here. Is it bad that absolutely nothing has changed in my normal daily life? I guess I've been self-quarantined for years. You guys. When somebody says that, what they really mean is I work in the technology or services industry and haven't been laid off. All right. 10 seconds. Oh, I'm going to use limit only orders. Okay. I could be so lucky. I would have liked to have taken that 4, but I didn't click it right, I guess. It was trying to put a stop on. Well, now it's kind of acting like they could go through that, so. E-mini's super wild. It looks like sellers might win out, though. Can't look at them both at the same time. I think I would rather trade the order flow on the ZN in this situation. Nope. Well, that's no good. Okay, good. Thanks, buddy. Somebody gave me a good stack. Okay. They are stacking behind it. But they're having trouble at 06 half. Interesting. Oof. And E-mini's fighting it. They've come back both ways. Well, I suppose I could put an order there just to be sure. Not even 2 that time. Yeah, I tried to take it off when it was up there, and I guess I clicked in the wrong spot because it told me, yeah, oh, you can't put a stop there. I was like, I'm not trying to put a stop there. I'm trying to put a limit sell order. And I'm still not trading it. And now he's stacking it the other way. Well, oh, now that he's stacking there, I'm out. No thanks. Well, that sucks. I mean, I was quick and I got it, but then I didn't get my exit order. Why was that? I had it set to stop limit. Why was that? That's wrong. I wanted it on limit. There we go. That's what happened. Okay. Oh well. We can put it to auto now. So he's shoving it down there. Ooh, what a strong rush in there we just got from ES. Well, so what is the number? Non-farm payrolls negative 700K versus an expected 100K. Manufacturing payrolls negative 54K versus a 20K. Average weekly hours 34.2 versus 34.1. Participation rate is 62.7, which is lower. Average hourly earnings 3.1 versus 3%. Average hourly earnings month over month was actually spot 4 versus spot 2, an increase. Interesting. And non-farm payrolls overall negative 713K versus 163K. And this is like really before all of the stay-at-home orders were put in place. Man, that is ugly. Look at this E-mini is being nutso. might only even give me 1 on this one. I guess not. Oh, that's interesting. So you're seeing a lot more absorption on the bid side, but they're going down. Okay, thanks. Okay, well, E-mini is chilling out there a little bit. Now that I'm out there, like, oh, we can go up. Sure, Seth. I see. I see my problem. They're really avoiding these guys over here. That fill was a little weird. I wonder why the sim gave that to me. Okay, I can see a possible turn down in the E-mini now. Looks like they're going to get their pullback. Hmm. 4 years of job games have evaporated in the span of 2 weeks. Man. And the question is, what's the long-term impact? Like, if they end this in May, and then how bad is it after that? Do the jobs come back quickly? Or no? I'm starting to think that this might do more long-term damage than everybody is thinking. So they're kind of hitting into 05. Then you got 05 half.
Uzi Knesset says, dude, we just nearly matched the entire employment contraction during the entire 08-09 recession in a single month.
Right?
Uzi Knesset says that's absolutely insane.
It's absolutely insane. But like the thing is when you look at the action, I mean, like the immunity is up. Does the market look too concerned about it, even though the numbers are like way worse than what the estimates were? Obviously, the estimates are all low, and I think that the market understands that. But for them to buy up after that is still a little like, okay, you know, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Uzi Knesset says, I really hope this was worth it. Person shrugging.
Yeah, me too. I mean, from the data that I've looked at, it looks like it was probably the right decision, but it also doesn't look like we have enough data to really know for sure. In the end, we will. They'll do testing. They'll be just testing on everybody to see who has the antibodies, and then we'll really know. You know, we'll really have the real statistics, and we'll know how. You know, I think the thing that's unfortunate is that it's really the testing that matters. As far as I can tell, like when you look at South Korea, because lots of countries have done social distancing measures, I, we'll see what the difference is between us and Sweden. Because Sweden is like the one that's not doing the social distancing, right? Hasn't gotten too bad over there yet, though. Maybe they start to have an issue like New York, and maybe they will think twice about that. But countries that did well, like South Korea, Singapore, the way that they did it was they tested everybody that had symptoms, and when they detected the coronavirus, they tracked everybody that that person had had contact with. And that appears to be the thing that's effective, the most effective. And Western countries did not have the resources to do that when they needed them. United States was slow on the draw because of the laboratory, the whole national laboratory thing. And then there's just been a low amount of these supplies anyways. So even the European countries have had problems with it. It's very unfortunate. And but the thing that's so funny is that everybody's playing political games with it. Like the general public doesn't seem to understand that it's not as simple as just, hey, well, we're just gonna run these tests. It's like you have to actually have the stuff to do the tests, and we don't. Okay, so there was a nice little run up there in the E-mini that come just barely short of that previous high. Let's see if they bust through it. Not yet. They're building volume here. A little bit at least. Dropped a little. I don't know. Probably not over. They could still careen up there. PPP loan system is up and running. Community banks have already processed over 700 loans processed for $2 million. Great work. Wow. That's Steve Mnuchin tweeting that. And go get your small business loans. Now's a great time to start that. Small business you always wanted to do, guys. Probably not many of you will, though. Well, they're being difficult around O5. I do kind of wonder though if when we do finally trade O5 out that it might be easier than we expect. Helicopters flying around outside. Okay, E-mini failed to reach that high, and they're turning back down now. And the 10-minute bar is negative, and they have crossed the. That would be a legitimate short for me right there. A little bit fuzzy on the trend, but that would be a legitimate short. Okay, good 400 stack at 05. Not many people hitting into it. 4 so far.
Ask Our Money Machine says, do you believe that 90% times price move is random walk?
I don't know if there's any way to really know. I think that for all practical purposes, 90% of the market movement is a random walk, yes. Or rather, there would be no way for you to statistically show a difference. we definitely see patterns and things that aren't there. I think that's where a lot of the head and shoulders and that sort of a thing comes through. Price moving along. Now, I do believe that there are certain price patterns that when you combine them with volume patterns, um, that are very difficult, that don't happen very often, I will say. Um, there is something to that. On larger time frames, there is something to that. But all in between, most of this is just random. That's kind of why here in the treasuries, the trick is to filter out of what of this activity actually matters. That actually indicates that one particular side has a significant advantage that they're maybe not necessarily letting us see yet. And that's why I say you can get these things where if anybody hits into O5 half, it might clear with only 200 contracts and move up much more easily than we expect based on the 700-800 that's placed there. Because the a bank might have that up there to try and get you to sell, and then when they go through, they just cancel their order. And that's why that's how they move the price is they cancel their orders. So what you'll see is, you know, 90% of this order flow is irrelevant, and then we get up there and the orders pull, and then you know what was really going on, right? While he's stacking again, they kind of had their turn down their right now saying, "Oh, it's just a pullback. Maybe we'll move back up." So we'll see what they take for their next turn. They might pop up into this, uh, line of resistance and then just bounce right off of it. The treasury certainly came down though off of that. Mm. I wasn't too concerned about it because I knew that it was just going to come back to my entry, but now I'm all feeling a little uncomfortable.
Krzysztof Szczesny says, do SP 500 futures start follow oil prices?
Not usually, but right now they have been a significant amount of correlation because the low oil prices have just destroyed so many companies. It was really counterintuitive because usually lower oil prices is usually good for the economy and creates spending and investment, but in this case it was just too much, I guess. Hmm. Okay, so they turned back on the other side. Not sure if they can hold it. Treasury being pretty flaky around here. Looking to bury me. Yeah. 600 traded into that O2 half, dude. No way. Yeah. That sucks, man. Well, I would really like to get something in the treasuries here. Maybe I'm just asking for too much. How much am I getting favorable on some of these? Well, first one I got 5, 1, and 3. No, it's not. It's actually kind of a little bit random. Man, they are trying to shove it through there. This one is a little uncertain because sometimes they'll trade through it and then it'll just be like right back up. Oh, look at that. 1,000 into O2 half. E-mini turning back down again. Okay, well, this one switch not cooperating. Treasuries aren't. They seem to be getting shoved down pretty hard. There is a lot of absorption at 01. An uptick at 0.5 a little too easy.
Christoph Chesney says so on Monday. If no oil deal, we will take short from $30 to $20.
Well, I don't know about that. Is the whole thing intended or supposed to be over by the end of the weekend? I mean, if we go through and then they don't come up with a deal, it'll be pretty ugly. I'm sure that oil would go down to new lows. Yeah, I know I'm not an expert in oil, but um, the only reason they're up is because they thought they were going to make a deal, right? So if the deal doesn't happen, I would assume that they go down. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. I mean, there's a lot trading there. There's definitely some absorption down here at the lows, right? Hmm. So I'm still kind of unsure about which way in the E-mini. It seems like overall the trend is up just slightly in ES, but it's not a big enough divergence for me to really try and take a trade in the ES. Now in the treasury, I think the trend is more clear, but you're kind of at a turning point. They don't seem to want to go for it. I still feel like they could flip back up hard, but I was trying to go with the trend. I think maybe in this situation, I just don't have enough probability to really be taking a trade. Yeah, like that's not what I want either. I'm not quite sure what it is that I got to do in treasuries here to be successful. I'm still really frustrated and confused. Okay, well, there's a downtick, but they don't hit into O5. Okay, crude did move higher. That's interesting. E-mini is kind of showing a fake head and shoulders here. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, ES being a little tepid there at our turning point. Big stack on the offer in the 10-year. Hmm. The equities have suddenly gotten extremely slow. They're still holding price on the bid really well, though. Hmm. Okay. Well, that one holds. That's good. Okay. Okay. That E-mini trade was good. That one, I played that exactly the way that I would like. So I have a thought here in ZN. I think that first thing is that I think I should go to really small targets. Not because I think that the range here is too tight or anything like that, but that um, haven't been doing very well in it. So one of the things when you're not doing very well is to try and take smaller trades. I'm really happy with how that ES trade turned out because I ended up getting 8 points out of that. Which is really good. I'm really happy with 8 points. Could be even more in it, it looks like. Okay, so there was a little bit of a click, and then they stacked some at 10. They stacked about 600 on there at 01. They stacked it at 05. And let's just be quick on the draw here because something weird might happen. Okay, he stacked it at 05, but then he pulled it. Then it ticked down anyways. Okay, a little flurry of orders into 139 even. Ooh. Okay. There's 3,000s. They're on both sides of that. That's would be like a normal price and a normal amount of contracts that trade in normal action. But today that's like, what? Oh, wait, what? That big volume cluster in today's action. And back up, man. So when I saw the stack and the way that it was moving down, I was like, they're really pushing it. They might push it more. And then they hit into that iceberg and they immediately gave up. I'm really disappointed. And I thought maybe I could get 4 because my risk has been 4. I think it's actually probably still possible. I think equities appear to be optimistic because they do think that there's going to be a deal on oil production cuts. Well, there was some there, but they careened right through it. 31.5. President Donald Trump sent Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer a letter Thursday scolding him for being a partisan, calling him a lousy senator, and indicating a note the New Yorker sent him was a Democrat public relations letter. What? That's kind of weird. You and Ferdani. You know what I think that Donald Trump is disappointed in Chuck Schumer because he thought that Chuck Schumer would be interested in helping out right now instead of playing partisan games, and instead Chuck Schumer has kind of been playing along with Nancy on a lot of things. I'm sure he's really disappointed about it. Okay, so there's the short. It's not in line with everything. Not only is this 10-minute bar blue, but my larger term moving average is up, so I don't want to take a short. Hmm. Here's an interesting note from Jake Sherman. The Trump administration has touted at times the provision in the Phase 2 coronavirus bill that would allow generous paid leave. The New York Times reports this morning that Labor Department has curbed the policy through rulemaking. Now 75% of American workers are at companies that qualify for exemptions from the law. Ah. But will those companies actually go for it? I suppose that they probably would. I suppose in the end that's good because we don't want them to lay a bunch of people off. Okay, now they're giving us a huge stack at 0.5 again. Oh, there's stacks both ways. I'm kind of thinking I could hit into this guy and get a tick, but let's just see. Yeah, would have worked out okay. Oh, wow. He's actually stacking it. Hmm. I do say that was quite a bit more downside than I was expecting. Man. So the one problem I'm having with this microphone is that anytime I move my mouse, you can hear it. I hope that that doesn't bother you guys too much. I'm really starting to wonder if I should just give in and block my vision a little bit with a boom arm. Not only did that move up, move down a little, quite a bit more than I expected, but the treasuries really turned up. Even that little move there, I can hear it, guys. $25.05. Was that where I got in on that original one? It was. Huh. This little bump that I'm looking at isn't as big as I thought it was. Hmm. 24.95, then it starts to get a little scary. Maybe a little scary, let's say. USD JPY is now trading higher after dips lower failed. I got to remember that when I get into futures is the opposite of what the currencies are. A little bit of trade into 05 again. A little bit of absorption at 03.5. E-mini turning back up though. $2,300 at 03.5. E-mini slowed down again. IEA says 10 million barrel per day cut, not enough. RIA says OPEC meeting next week may not happen. Oh my, Fauci calls for all states to have stay-at-home orders. I just don't understand why we're not doing that. Well, I think that pretty much every state does have a stay-at-home order. They just haven't given it as like it's an order and like if you come out of the house, we'll arrest you. You know, I don't know. I really don't feel like that's necessary, but I guess we'll see. Okay,
Krzysztof Szczesny says big oil, short smiley face.
I want this one. Damn it! I'm sure that there appears to be some guys out there that are taking some big oil shorts. That's for sure. They really, for whatever reason, do not think that OPEC will come to an agreement. And I don't understand the dynamics of that to understand why they feel that way. But there's definitely people in the oil market that are extremely skeptical about all of this. I'm really upset about the price that I got on that.
RJ Wheel says Toronto has 750 defined to gather in more than group of 2 if not family or registered at same address.
What? I just think that's so ridiculous. I'm not an expert on this policy, but is anybody really an expert on this policy because we've never done things like this before. Does making it a finable offense really make a difference? Is it really necessary to do that? I think that you just tell people that we need to distance and for everybody's safety and give the recommendation and let people use their discretion. But because the thing that concerns me about is that I feel like that some people want to do it just because they're control freaks, you know? You're outside of the house. That's not allowed. All right, well, that one's failing, so. I guess I can turn around and try and sell it. Well, I might be able to get that. Let's see. It looks like they want to do a double dip here. UK registers record high 684 new COVID-19 deaths. Teletrader. Hmm. Do you see that? Shit. Hmm. Jigsaw connection thing is giving me errors. So this area in ES appears to have some balance to it, because it's kind of whipping me around. Hmm. Being so difficult. And where I got in at 2506 appears to be not the greatest spot. A little bit of volume there. Come on. Come on. Hmm. Okay. Well, I think that one was a little bit lucky
Krzysztof
because
Szczesny
somebody
says
really pushed it.
ICM broker swap for oil 75 pips short.
Hmm. Somebody really shoved it up there. Hmm. Okay. Slight little push higher there. Slight little push higher there, and okay support on the backside of it, but still a little uncomfortable to me. We got about 3 minutes to the equities open. U.S. oil majors worry about antitrust issues if they join OPEC plus cuts, says sources. I don't think that that's going to be. Of course, they should have concerns and they should talk to regulators about it, but I'm sure that they can work something out. Okay. So a slight little move higher there off of really out of nowhere. That's good. Not quite as far as I wanted. Hmm. One minute to go. Mm-hmm. That come back very quickly. That one is too fast. Have to ignore that one. Imagine if you will, Putin. U.S. will voluntarily cut 500K. Russia must cut 15% of production and Saudi 25% production. It's almost laughable to think OPEC will get any consensus. This is a game of eradicating shale producers, not keeping them afloat. But Mr. Brannigan, the thing that you are forgetting is that we are in a global crisis and the price of oil is an essential component of keeping the entire world economy afloat. And people might be willing to make some crazy concessions under those circumstances. Okay, here we go. Quite a bit of buying on that first little bit. Still not quite to where I want them. Come on, baby. Come on. I haven't been so mean to you, have I? Those shorts, they didn't mean nothing. Nothing personal. Ugh. Okay, well, overall, more buying, but price pretty flexible at the moment. I should maybe cancel that order. But still, the buying coming in. Okay, somebody obviously trying to short it around 25.10. Looks like they're going to blow them out, though. Well, he didn't puke. Not yet. Hmm. Okay, there was a little bit of a stop run there, and then they turned back around. A lot of price discovery here. Okay. Well, they recovered that really, really well. A little bit of back and forth here, but I think that they are going to shove quite a bit higher. We should have something out there, just, there's always the just in case. Similarly on this side, we can. Oh dear, my data just died. Still overall buying, but awfully turbulent. It has been now for the past 5 minutes or so. Let's There's enough resistance in that area. I don't know. I kind of feel like that if they come back up here, that they're just going to blow right through it. But now I'm like not really sure if they'll even do it. So I'm like, well, I could put an order here, but then like, what are actually the chances that they even hit it now? Okay, well, another little V-shaped bottom. They keep doing that. A lot of contracts being traded, folks. My oh my. There's buyers trying for it. Look, there's so much resistance. Somebody really doesn't want them to get above it. I don't know, buddy. I think you're gonna have a hard time keeping it down like that forever. Look at this. I think he's gonna have a hard time keeping it like that forever. But the question is, can he keep it down long enough for me to give up? Hmm. Well, if they get back up there, I think that they'll go run this time because they just made their attempt lower and it bounced right off of it. Right here, bounces.
Air Cages says hello.
Hey, Air Cages, where have you been all week? Your Bitcoin was up last night.
Saldia says, hi, are you learning how to trade?
Yeah. Well, we're practicing. I have a strategy that we're doing in the ES. We're doing pretty okay with it today. And I'm practicing it.
Air Cages says your stream is back on my feed.
Yeah, it looks like yesterday they unshadow banned us.
AP says young girls.
Oh, what? Okay, that was random. Al, I think that there could. I really haven't seen this like the stop run. Given how much resistance there was at the high, I would really expect to see much more of a stop run up here. You know. So like, there's the previous hour's high around 20. What is it? 3, 22, 25. That they're gonna try and push towards. Got him on the ropes now. We're gonna get in at 04. Go get him. Go get him. Go, 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 go. A little bit more. Just a little bit more. There you go. There you
AP
go.
says how many lots you doing?
So it kind of depends, but I'm keeping it low. I'm doing like one lot. Like right now I have one lot on. If I see something that like really excites me, then maybe I'll go for 8 lots. But I'm trying to keep it really small. And sometimes I'll use 2 when I'm working out my position, but for the most part, I'm just keeping it down to 1. Pelosi on CNBC, we need a fourth bipartisan aid bill. Yes, probably, but I'm just not so sure that right now is the time, Nancy. We are not even sure what we really need. Okay, so that was really encouraging price action up. I'm really happy with that trade. I took a lot of risk there to do it, but I had a good spot. I had favorable order flow. 70 ticks. That's nice. Probably could have held it for a little bit more because I got out at 24. So there was another 30 bucks or so in it. Mm-mm-mm. What about the treasuries? Now, interestingly enough, the treasuries don't seem to care about what's going on in the E-mini at all.
AP says, what are those circles? Oh, your chart.
So those are areas of significant volume.
Kevin Wimmer says him open so far really low volume compared to other days.
Is it?
Expected more, to be honest, especially after bad numbers.
So you know what? I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Oh, you know what? I have this right here, and I don't even have. I don't even have it, what I need on there. I should have volume. What is it? Daily volume. Can I do average daily volume? Okay, we'll try it. Well, they've done almost 500,000 contracts, 432,000 contracts. I don't know what is normal for the first 15 minutes. I should start tracking that. Because those are important things. But you say that it's less than you expected, huh? Because when we were back down in that area, like around the open, in the 2505 area, I felt like...
Kevin Wimmer says yesterday we had over 600K the same time.
Well, okay. But I felt like yesterday was a lot of volume. I don't know. And I felt like what we had just there was a lot of volume. Not as much as yesterday. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably there's not going to be as many people wanting to participate because we got really significant news here in 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? The only reason I held that one as long as I did was because I could see him fighting it. And when I can see somebody fighting it, but I still see the other side having a huge advantage, I'm going to go for him. Larry Kudlow on Bloomberg. Banks are ready to go on small business loans. Yay, thank you. I was about to go into a rant, but I'm like, let's not get into a rant before ISM. A lot of people on my feed complaining about small businesses getting quote unquote bailouts, and I'm like, well, if you want a loan, go get one. If you want a loan, go get one. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. Okay, so we did get some PMI numbers. There's 37.6 versus an estimated 40. Services PMI 34.5 versus estimated 39.1. The Hill just in. Stocks dip following jobs report. Should I tell him? Do you want to tell him or should I? Man, I hate dropping the frames. What causes that? So annoying. Well, you know what? In retrospect, 25, 24, not a bad place to take it off. Huh? It came back. Came back pretty good. I didn't really know anything about that level or anything. I was just taking it off based off of the range. Like I got 4 times the range there. I got 20 points. That's that's good. You should take that, I think. Look at how quickly they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back to 25. Where's the spot on the profile? 2510, 2508. They're gonna come back to 2508. It'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. Coronavirus. White House promises cash payment to hospitals that treat uninsured patients. Cash payments. By the way, lots of people watching. Thank you for all tuning in. We were shadow banned for a little bit, just because we had a stream that did really well, and that automatically gets you flagged. And since YouTube is running on less staff, they weren't able to look at it as long. And today, on shadow banned, lots of people watching. Thank you very much. If you can give us a like, that really helps out. Help us build back up after that little what do we say, setback. I'm not mad at it. Well, I am mad about it. You know what, YouTube? You know what, YouTube? Get your stuff together. But it's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you. I've I've said my piece about it, and now I forgive you, and we're gonna move on. Okay, we got we got 11 minutes. 11 minutes till this ISM number. So let's hear. What do I got on the list?
Jacoby OG says, hey man. I worked in the small business loan industry. Was recently temp laid off for 8 weeks. All lenders have stopped lending due to increased defaults.
That's crazy. So, do you get, you're getting unemployment though, yeah? I hope it's comparable to what you were making when you were working. That's real. You know what? Because you sound to me like maybe I mean, you're just the first time I'm talking to you, but you sound like somebody that's interested in the business and knows what's going on and likes working. And it's unfortunate when I see people like that, that would like to work, but they're not. There's plenty of people out there just wasting this time. I will go on a rant about this later, but now is probably not the time. Not we should get the news out of the way, and then maybe at 8:30 we can rant. But the government seems to be trying to step in.
Says rant now.
Not until after the manufacturing numbers. So what are the numbers that we got? Non-manufacturing business activity, we're looking for a reading of 45, and non-manufacturing PMI, looking for a reading of 44. There are also non-manufacturing employment with no estimate, but a previous reading of 55.6. ISM non-manufacturing new orders with a previous reading of 63.1, and ISM non-manufacturing prices with a previous reading of 50.8. And sure enough, the E-mini came all the way back to 25, 12 so far. Let's see if they get back to 9, 10. It's 08 in the E-mini and 09 in the micros. That's interesting. So the traders in the micros didn't get as good of a spot on that last run up. That's what that means. That or there was more people trying to go short and trying to catch a good price for it. And lost. Man. I'm just checking through Discord, making sure that nobody is doing anything crazy. Oh.
Jacoby OG says yes, def getting unemployment. I was on sales side. So made decent money. Lots of staff took over calls for defaults and it was hundreds of calls a day, sad face, rant later lol.
Oh man. Hundreds of calls a day for defaults? Man. Like, I mean, here's the thing is that because of past crises, we're definitely living on borrowed money, you know, and uh, nobody has a buffer. And how are you ever supposed to grow it out? And what are the changes that we're going to have to make in our economy to allow that to happen? One of the things that bothers me when I'm looking in the field of economics is that um, people don't seem to consider what the larger impact of their policies are going to be. Like they're always thinking on a micro level, like, for me, I want more money, and so the government should do this. They should not tax me as much, or they should tax rich people and give it to me. But like, what is the actual aggregate effect on businesses? Like, which sectors of the economy does that favor, and which sectors of the economy is that a negative for? And where would the money flow to from there? And what kind of effects would that actually have on people's balance sheets and on individuals' budgets? And I don't think that they ever take it that far, you know. And I would rather take it. I think that in economics, it's really wise to try and take a top-down approach to kind of say, well, we want to have an economy where individuals are resistant because we may be going into a time period where you have to be able to withstand 6 months. And everybody knows it, but they don't spend it. So how do we re-gear our economy to allow that sort of a thing to happen? You know, top-down wide perspective. What are the industries that you have to favor to do that? What, you know, I don't, instead of going from the other direction and just saying, well, and give the money to the person and then figure out what happens to the industries. I think you take it the other way. You want to say which industries do we want to favor, and then what policies can we do to favor them to create the environment that we want. 2515. So they did touch it down there. They definitely touched it, but there's a kind of a longer term moving average back there that they're really gonna bounce right off of. So they're bouncing back up. That's a long, but not one that I really think it can take, especially not 5 minutes before.
Gary Rich says here's a suggestion. Why not read CBO report and their recommendations,
Well, so for starters, if we're talking about the Congressional Budget Office, the kind of estimates that they can make are very limited. I mean, they do have some interesting information, but the kind of recommendations that they can make are really limited and often myopic. Can't tell you how many times when this was coming into like budget recommendations and what they were saying in the Congressional Budget Office just wasn't like the real picture. Like especially back in 2008, they're making all of these recommendations, and like their estimates of what the economy was going to be were ridiculous because they were basically saying, well, we're going to continue to be zero. And of course we grew way more than any of those estimates were saying, you know. But of course, nobody ever cut back on the budget, so it didn't help anybody.
Gary Rich says, well, if you haven't read the reports, you don't know and
Oh,
don't speak on it.
I totally read those. Let's take that back. I read them when they put a significant one out that it comes out in the news. I do go and look at those. You're going to remember, I love arguing. And if everybody is going to be arguing about a congressional budget report, I'm going to want to know more about it than everybody else so that I can make better arguments. And I'm thinking specifically about some ones back in 2008. And there was another one at the beginning of the Trump administration. What was the one that was at the beginning of the Trump administration that I felt was not very accurate? Had something to do with the way that they score things is not the full picture. It makes sense for what they're trying to do, but it's not really the full picture. Okay, we got about a minute 30 seconds here. I did pretty good on the micros. I did eventually get a winner in ZN, but that overall did not go very well today.
Gary Rich says they come out every year and project 10 years out and rec cuts. Congress keys off the money towards the discretionary areas.
Yeah, well, they definitely need to. I mean, there's a larger problem with that one, right, Gary? Because like Congress just flat out can't pass a budget. Like they just literally cannot agree on anything. Nobody's willing to give up anything in concessions for it. It really feels to me like it's never going to happen until one side really has a significant political advantage and a really, really strong financial incentive to fix their behavior, let's say. So the problem that you get is like one side will get an advantage. So the past two times that we've seen that in the past was after 9/11, the Republicans very much had an advantage. They did not do anything with the budget. They implemented the Patriot Act and other such things because they were terrified out of their minds. Many things that I think they regret doing.
Gary Rich says healthcare is one area they add money towards. So buy those stocks, infrastructure same thing, etc., etc.
Yeah, I was looking, you know what? I was putting that on my list. Actually, did I? I don't think I actually changed it. I think I need to modify it. Okay, so here's the news. So the number is 52.5 versus an expected 44 for the PMI, and the manufacturing business activity 48 versus a 45. Manufacturing employment is a 47 versus a previous reading of 55.1. ISM new orders 52.9 versus a previous reading of 63.1, and manufacturing prices 50 versus a previous reading of 50.8. I see that the equity index has jumped up on that report. It looks like the PMI was much better and in fact expanded a little bit despite everything that was going on. It looks like that even though they reduced workforce, that they continue to be productive. Is that how we can read that? That is a little bit weird. At the same time, you're going to look at that number and you're going to be like, well, yeah, but next month is going to be awful. Okay. So they're up. They're not as, they're not breaking a new high, but they're at 21. Not really a place that I can take a trade. Anyways, so now let me grab my Evernote. Where is it? Evernote. I have stuff. See, I had in here gas infrastructure and internet infrastructure. Oh, so I guess I did. Let's just say infrastructure in general and healthcare. Well, I have medical devices, but I think we can say healthcare as a separate thing. Like there's the healthcare companies, and then there's people that make like medical devices or prescriptions. to different sections of the healthcare industry. But I do agree with you, Gary, that it seems like that infrastructure is a place that we'd want to be in. And I believe that one of the spots that they'll put a lot of infrastructure, uh, one of the places that they're going to put a lot of infrastructure into is going to be communications networks, internet. Of course, people complain about bridges and roads and stuff like that, and I'm sure that they'll do that too. But I think that right now they think that you get a much better bang for your buck from internet. So I think that there will probably be a lot of that. So if you have company recommendations for any of those, well, any of these sections here. So I have not really financial. I'm pretty much stuck with that one. But tech, energy, consumer goods, entertainment. I mean, airlines probably not. I don't know why. That should be like, I want to investigate but don't buy. Yeah, medical devices, healthcare, infrastructure stuff. It's kind of where I'm doing my research for longer term plays. Okay, so they pushed up a little bit and turned back down really hard. Very volatile. And what about the treasuries? That's so interesting that the treasuries are just kind of chilling here. I'm wondering if business activity in the 10-year is just not as strong. Of course, there's less liquidity, and that would be an indication of that. But probably the movement is a lot of the movement is from traders and not really big funds. And the big funds are more interested in other places right now, and maybe that's why they're behaving the way that they are in the 10-year, where it's just like hardly going anywhere. German Feynman Schultz said to plan post-virus stimulus package around $50 billion a year. The Germans are doing stimulus, but it's not even a tenth of what the Americans and the Canadians are doing. The Canadian stimulus package, from what I hear, was crazy. See, here they're going to cross the line again. It's probably best for me to let them calm down a little bit because we're getting all of this twisty-turny stuff. And there was a lot of twisty-turny before that. Come over here.
That guy says Canada can compensate for that by selling oil.
Oh, but oil's like worth nothing right now. How does that work out? I'm not sure I buy that. Do you have a source, perhaps, that would be more convincing?
RJ Wheels says this is the choppiest market since February middle of.
It is choppy. The thing that's difficult with this action, RJ, I feel, is that, back when it was wild, I mean, it was really moving. And when it would move, it would just go and go and go and go. This one, it's back and forth, and for us, you're scalping, you got to know where to take profits, don't you? It can really mess with you. I'm doing okay. In fact, in my micros, what did we get? In the end, made $93. That's really good. I'd be happy with that.
Gary Rich says where is Ace?
So Ace has been working with a room that was paying him money, and of course he still loves us, and so that's why he'll still come in, but he just doesn't have quite as much time to hang out with us as he did. That was part of why he, showed me some things so that I could kind of give you guys the same signal that he was giving you. But he still loves you. I'm sure we'll see him later today. And he hasn't really told me a whole. I mean, I haven't talked to him since that all started, so I don't know how that's all going, but I hope it's going well. I'm always kind of because he said there's a paid trade room, and I'm like, okay, like those are always a little
RJ Wheels
sketch.
says yup. I ended up with 2 evens on trades that had 30 plus. We have to adjust after a month of surges.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I've been doing and has been working. Although I didn't completely follow it either, but I've been using the average true range. The first trade that I took, the average true range was a little under 4, so I was said I want 4 or 8, and I was taking that. I think that one first one went a little bit more than I. Let's see here. Let's come over here and I'll see. I'll calculate it out. Best fit opened at 657.
Air Cages says Ace
657.
sold out. I will never forgive him.
He sold out. Oh 06, and I took no. It was oh 05. It was oh 05, one contract, $40, 20 points. So oh 08 to 28. Oh, it wasn't even that. I don't know how I did that. Oh 05. Didn't go to 25. How did I get 20 points off of that? Oh, I didn't get 20 points. I got a little
Gary
short
Rich
of that.
says Ace joined the dark side of the force.
I got sorry. Now I have to go and do the math in my head. I got 8
Air
points.
Cages says Ace is dead to me.
It was the average true range was 4, and I took 8 points off of it. Okay, from there. And then same thing on this one, there was a lot more volatility. It was 10. I saw that there was like some struggle here, so when it went, I let it run, and then when I got 4 times the average true range, then I decided to take it off. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. So I was using average true range, multiples of average true range to determine where I wanted to take it off at. In addition to order flow and a little bit of discretion on telling how far it would actually run if it broke a certain level. So this is certainly an environment where I think that you're probably better off having that limit offer sitting out there, because they can totally like come up, well, in the ES at least they can come up and like swipe you out and then come right back down, and then you never get another chance, because that happened on this one that I lost uh 2.5 points off of 3 points. I guess I lost 3 points off of that one. Could have made 3 points on it. Could have worked it out a little bit better, but because I didn't do that, it ended up being a loser. And then there was this one. That one actually never gave me favorable. I thought it did. Anyways, I wouldn't blame him. It's good for him, and I think in the long run it'll be good for us too. Because anything that's good for you guys
Gary
individually
Rich
will be
says if
good for
Ace doesn't
us
come back, need
together
to
in the
send
long run.
Baba Yaga to bring him back.
Oh, he's been stopping in almost every day. Air Cages, unfortunately, you two have been kind of missing each other. He's been popping around almost every day. If Ace doesn't come back, need to send Baby Yaga to bring him back. Uh, mm, mm. So I wonder if some of this uptrend in the ES is because Germany talking about doing stimulus. It's still like way too tight for me to really make a trade in it, I think. I'm also concerned that the treasury is just looks like totally dead. I guess it's moving around, but not very much. It's a really tight range. 4-tick range here. There's a move that retrace, and there's a move that retrace, and then the rest of it is a 4-tick range. It's kind of weird. White House advisor Kudlow says he sees no reason why Trump talks with Saudi Arabia and Russia oil will not bear fruit. Kudlow says Trump will stand up to any efforts to collude in energy markets that impact the U.S. industry. U.S. cannot dictate decisions on oil production to U.S. companies. Michael McKeith being retweeted by Forex Live. I can't say I liked anything in the jobs report, but maybe the most interesting thing the BLS says household survey interviewers may have misclassified so many workers that the unemployment rate might have actually been 5.4%. What?
Bots says waving hand morning.
Hi, John. How are you? By the way, I was an ass yesterday. I was wrong. So you should gloat like really hard. Like, here's your opportunity. Gloat really hard that I never got that target. I wasn't crazy, but I never got that target, and I shouldn't have been as confident about that one as I was. Let me read this. What else was he saying? Those missing work due to coronavirus were to be classified as on temporary layoff, counted as unemployed, but there was a huge spike in employed but missing from work. Maybe that was hope expressed by business owners looking forward to government loans to keep people on the payrolls, but I'm thinking maybe not. Oh, man.
Bots says FYI, prior RTH high at 2,525.00.
Wait, really? Mm. Oh my gosh, you're freaking right. Well, I took it off at 24, but I didn't take it off because of any of that. I just was looking at the range. I guess I looked at a little bit.
Gary Rich says it bots inside baseball laughing hard.
You think that if you've got a long and you're going into the previous day's high, that it's always a good idea to take your profits there? I mean, I feel like that's what you're trying to say to me, but I'm still
Bots
like,
says lol.
I'm still like, I don't believe that the lines really matter. They're gonna fall back down to this 2508 area again, I think. This trend line in ES is just flat, so like it doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence in what direction we're gonna go.
Bots says I have no opinions.
You have no opinions. Well,
Gary Rich says who are the oil traders here?
I just feel more and more like um I don't want to say more and more aware, but more and
Bots
more
says I'm just letting you know what the number was.
okay. I feel more and more discouraged by how much I know I don't know. There are so many things where it's like I'm sure there's something there that would really, really, really help, but I'm not figuring it out on my own and I don't know what to do, you know? And lately it's been getting to me, even though with our micro trade seems to be working out and doing well. Mm-mm. Outlaw Distillery in Midville now makes hand sanitizers. Our business has completely changed. Wow. You move from being a distillery to making hand sanitizer. You can make that change? Well, they lucked out, man. They're making bank, I'm sure. Haven't seen Donald Trump tweet anything this morning. It's been 13 hours.
Kiana Medlock says who's in Utah?
I live in Utah. So if you live in Utah, it sounds like, Kiana, that maybe you live in Utah. It seems to me that YouTube is more likely to recommend channels that come from creators in your area. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's what it seems like to me. By the way, guys, is
Kiana Medlock says, oh cool, I'm in West Jordan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but is the volume okay for you guys today? And can you hear like my hands moving the mouse? Like, is that's not bothering you too much? Is how much? Let's say that you can hear it. How much does it bother you on a scale of like 1 to 10? 10 being like, this is so annoying, I'll never watch again. No, they're turned down pretty hard. I said, oh, maybe they'll get back to 25.
Kiana Medlock says not at all.
Okay, cool. So are you a trader, Kiana? What do you trade?
Gary Rich says the volume is good, but the face bothers us. LOL. Bot says I just look at the numbers. If I was swing trading, checking my charts once a day, yesterday's RTH session high and low would be numbers that would matter to me, as would prior ETH session H and L.
Yeah. I've kind of been taking it lately from the perspective of I don't know if they're going to continue or reverse at that area, so I've kind of been ignoring them. But a lot of that has also been that because the market has been so volatile, those numbers were just like getting blown through and didn't matter. Maybe we need to start loading them up into our DOM again more frequently. And maybe I should go in and get like the previous day's point of controls and value area high and low and all that. Right now we're at the value area low and they bounced like literally to the tick right off of it. So Kudlow says Trump administration cannot move to reopen the economy until satisfied on the health side. Oh, so they're moving because of Kudlow. Durr. I mean, I knew he was talking, but it didn't really dawn on me that like, yeah. Good thing I wasn't like really seeing some sort of a trade. I think that I probably still want to stay out. If they come back up
Bot
to
says
say,
here's a thought for you. What in your mind will make the VIX get back down to a somewhat normal number?
I think that for the VIX to get back to a somewhat normal number,
Gary Rich says watch those opening ranges, the previous money center's opening ranges. They will drive it up, down those areas.
I definitely pay attention to the opening range, like the extended session opening range in particular. The regular session opening range, not so much, just because that's like the area that we fight in, so I can't really use it as it hasn't been established yet. I think for VIX to get back to a normal number, that we got to open things back up again. You know, like I really have a hard time. I really have a hard time seeing things improve substantially until May, because what's really going to happen is, in May they're going to reassess. Hopefully, they open things back up, and then we look at the damage and we see how much it actually hurt businesses, and then we can move forward. And until that happens, I think we're kind of like in a no man's land, and that for VIX in particular, that investors are going to have a real reason to try and hedge themselves, you know? So
Twemdog says open it up means people die, Seth.
Oh, that's not necessarily true, Twemdog. If we have passed the crest by May, then that means that we can safely open up the hospitals, because at that point the number of cases that we can be receiving are going to be less, and the hospitals will be able to handle the load. And so even though more people will be getting sick, they will be okay to open things up. And at that point, in fact, we kind of, where there is going to be a point. I think it's going to really mess with people. I tell you what, everything that I see about this virus, I just see cognitive dissonance everywhere,
Twemdog says face with rolling eyes.
even within myself. But there is going to be a point at which they're going to be like, you want to catch it. And people are going to be like, what? Hell no. Maybe. This whole thing about oh, we have to have a vaccine, I don't agree. You need to get over the curve. I don't think that you need the vaccine to do that. But maybe we learned some things about the virus that makes that wrong, right? That's maybe one of the problems that we have, is that there's a lot of data out there that is inconsistent or unreliable. And people will read about like a one statistic one time and then just say like forever and after that, that's their view of reality, even though like what we actually know about it
That
and the
guy says
statistic
you are
changes
giving
every
Adhere
day, you know?
asterisk S too much credit. The recession was just waiting to happen. All the warning signs have been flashing.
So there were definitely companies that were overvalued, but in a normal environment, you would be able to make that rotation and move sideways without a whole lot of drama. We saw that happen many, many times throughout the last expansion, and there was plenty of crises that could have been really, really bad that didn't completely destroy things, right? So even though it's true that a downturn of sorts was likely to happen, I am still of the opinion that the financial system is so secure that it really takes something extraordinary to create a recession. And in this case, it was an unparalleled uh, viral outbreak that required countries to completely shut down their economies. And if that hadn't happened, you might have seen some slower growth and things like that, and a lot of rotation, but maybe not even a recession. It is kind of funny looking back on it, though. And in the beginning, when we were saying, well, the virus will probably hurt us for these next 2 quarters, but it won't actually create a recession. Yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong, wrong, wrong. But that was when it was still just in China, It was a guess and it was wrong.
Gary Rich says it bots the new normal VIX might be 40 to 35 for 2020. It's in massive backwardation. Kyle Porter says recession was bound to happen. All we needed is a catalyst, which was the virus.
I think you need more than just a catalyst to create a recession, Kyle. Like, you just got to realize, like, before all of this, before things started going up, before the interest rates started going up, right? We were at like a 4% interest rate. Like people can borrow a lot of money on a 4% interest rate. Like it's not that's actually still somewhat accommodative. And the central banks were still somewhat accommodative. And the European banks especially
That guy says
were
all those
very
gains in the past were made through Fed cutting interest rates, but they've cut it down to 0% and now they have no more cushion.
Oh, that's okay. So on that one, the guy, it's true they have no more cushion, but you just got to remember that that's not the only tool that they have, and they are pulling out all of the tools that they have. So if they're able to pull us out of this one and avoid a quote unquote depression, then I say win Federal Reserve. They did what they were supposed to do and it worked. If we have if we have a depression, then it's a different thing. But that is why the Federal Reserve exists, is to prevent depressions. We can handle recessions. I don't know if you guys believe this, but
Bot says I was only thinking we would have to see the S&P, NQ and YM get back to somewhat normal daily ranges, maybe trade inside for a couple weeks, months before they embark on expanding price discovery.
well,
Bot
those things
says I
might
was only
be.
thinking we would have to see the S&P, NQ and YM get back to somewhat normal
I read
daily
it twice.
ranges,
I'm sorry.
maybe trade inside for a couple weeks, months before they embark on expanding price discovery.
I mean, those things, they're probably going to be associated. So I guess I'm saying that you're probably likely to see a lot of daily volatility until May. I think that you will have some days that are relatively quiet, and then you'll have other days that are just insane, you know? But anyways, there's this idea out there that seems to be very popular, but is extremely naive. And that is that recessions shouldn't happen. And that's just not a realistic expectation. Recessions are a part of nature, they're a part of life. Bad things happen. And I remember having many, many conversations on this stream, and I know that some of you guys that have been around for a while will probably remember these conversations where I said, downturns in the economy, they're going to happen. You can't prevent against every possible bad thing that can happen, like probably some natural disaster. And I kept saying, if we have a recession, maybe it'll be because of a natural disaster. And I could never figure out what it was going to be. But it ended up being a virus. And that is not something that I ever would have thought of, but should have. We should have. But that was the thing. But I was always saying that because they were saying, well, here's this problem. Like, companies have too much debt. Okay. But that doesn't have to cause a recession. Because you got to remember, we had a literal country, a whole literal country that was about to pull an entire continent under and become insolvent. Okay, like that whole thing happened. Like they were talking about, they were just going to dissolve all of your deposits in the bank. Like it was getting insane over there in the Greek debt crisis, and we didn't go into a recession off of that. Right? So just because things are overbought, this idea that it gets overbought and it becomes a recession, that's the way that things used to be, yes, but we're in a different environment now. The financial system is different, and it really takes something to get us into a recession. And in this case, it was a virus.
Gary Rich says if you take the VIX divide by 16, that number is the expected not exact range for the day. Dow, NAS, Russ, 10 years all have a VIX index as well. RJ Wheels says it's better for us day traders volatility. Surge price moves.
Well, it depends on if you have a large enough bankroll to handle those kinds of swings, but yes, it is good for trading. The thing that I always think of it in, and I've never heard anybody else say this, but I'm sure that somebody has a much more sophisticated way of looking at it. But when I see that interest rates are really low, that to me means that there's more short-term money making opportunities. In that environment, it means that you should be looking for short-term plays when the interest rates are going down. And then when it comes to the point that the interest rates are turn around and start going up, that's when you want to start looking for the long-term plays. You flip around. It's like a graph. It's a graph. Let's draw a graph. I'm just spitballing. This is just a thought that I'm just having here in the moment. So maybe this theory requires a little bit of work, but this is long term and this is short term. And this is going to be the interest rate. So when the interest rate is low, you want to be doing short-term strategies. Let's say when the interest rate, let's say that this is, I don't know if I want to use this as X and Y, but let's just say that this is neutral and this is 0 and this is like 15. Okay. So when it's 15, you really want to do more short-term trades. When it's neutral, you might want to be doing long trades and going towards short-term trades. And when it's a 0, you want to start doing long-term trades. But there's kind of like this as it's approaching it. So I think that there's like this curve like this where when the crisis starts happening, you're going to look for short-term trades and then you want to go long. And then as the interest rate goes up, you more and more want to turn to short-term strategies again because you know that the interest rates are going to start turning around. Yeah, I should work on that one a little bit. Maybe do some math and stuff. Maybe we can find some statistical support for that. Oh yeah. So, no. I think we covered everything that you guys had been talking about there. What time is it? 8:34. We never got into our rant because you guys were talking a little bit earlier about the unemployment and stuff like that. These unemployment numbers are going to be really interesting. I'm expecting a
Gary
3%
Rich says
move.
example VIX divided by 16. I'm expecting 3.10% move in S&P, which gives me a range or band to be aware of. Right now it's only 1.5%, but aware of another more or less.
Well, wait, what is the VIX today exactly? I mean, tell me in points, not in percentage. Does that mean we're going to have a pretty good down move if that's the case? They really tried pushing higher there and it got rejected hard and they're moving down. We could have a more extended down move. I don't know if I'm going to take advantage of it. I don't like trading after 8:30. This was kind of the counter trend period too. Didn't really do a whole lot here.
Gary Rich says VIX is 49.74 divided by 16 equals 3.10%.
49.74 divided by 16 is 3. So that tells you in percentage points. But then you would have to look at the open price. What was the open price? 25.1375. 25.13.
That guy says Gary Rich, have you thoroughly tested this theory? With all due respect, this sounds like a bunch of woo.
77.
Gary Rich says figure it out, I can't draw a picture for you.
So if we were to extend to the downside, 24, well, that would be pretty big. That would be down to like 24.45. That wouldn't quite be yesterday's lows, but it's possible. So it's definitely a reasonable amount. Yeah, so we were talking about it the other day, and they were saying the reason it's 16 is because of the number of days in the year. And there's mathematical reasons why, because they calculate things out based on how much they expect it to move over the amount of time until their options expire. So you VIX, let me rephrase that. Options are priced based on expected volatility, which means that if you buy a put, they price the put so that they're expecting it to go down 20 points, then you're paying $20. You're paying 20 points to get the put. And in order to make money, it has to go further than what the market is actually pricing it for. So that's how you can go back and you can do that for any individual stock, right? I can go in and I can say, okay, if I were to buy options that expire at the end of the month and they're this much, that means that they're expecting this stock to move this amount during that time. And you can see the differences in how much they expect it to go up and how much they expect it to go down in that time period. And that's what they're hedging themselves against. So the people that sell the options, they sell the options for that price, and then they're taking positions in those stocks to counteract it, and they make money on when it stays inside of that. Okay, that's why it gets priced.
Gary Rich says, remember when I mentioned the square root of 252? 252 trading days.
Right. So what Gary is saying is that you can do the same thing for the overall market as a whole or the index by looking at the VIX. And just remembering that the VIX is pricing it in as like for the whole year. And so you take the square root of 252 is 16. They're moving down. They're going to push below that opening drive. That'll be something. I think there'd be we're still quite a bit of ways away from it, though. Oh. On my chart, it looks so close, but when they must be doing the overnight low, yeah. No, so they're actually right at it right now, 85.75. Turning around there. Yeah, I had this like whole rant out in my head. I don't know if I really want to go into it or if you guys are really interested in it right now. Maybe that would be something better left for Monday. Well, they bounced pretty hard off of that, but not so far that they can't come down and try and take it again. Should think about what I want to work on today. Have we gotten to the point where the robot is not going to give me any more messages? Not quite. We're getting there. I made a change, so when it gets there.
Gary Rich says VXD Dow VIX 51.31 divided by 16.20%.
Got it, yeah. So do you think that we're going to have a 3% down day then? Kind of seems like that would be the only way. I really don't see them going up 3%. Not on a weekend, you know. Who knows what happens over the weekend? I don't want to be long that exposure. You know what I mean?
Air Cages says, what was the rant about again?
All right, I'll go into this. So here's something that's really bothering me that I see freaking everywhere is they're like, oh, every time that capitalism fails, socialism has to come in and bail them out. Socialism ain't bailing them out. Socialism hadn't made a cent in this country, okay? You know where all of that money comes from? It comes from businesses pursuing their own interests and paying taxes, okay? It comes from capitalism, all right? The money that the freedom checks that we're going to be getting, that is your taxes being given to you in advance. That's what it is. That your taxes in 2020 are going to be less than they were in 2019. And they are giving you that difference today instead of next year. And that's how they're doing it. The net effect is that in 2020 the government is going to collect less taxes. That's the net effect that it has on their balance sheet. Okay, when you give a company a loan, that's not socialism, that's capitalism. Loans, socialists don't do loans. Socialists ban interest. Okay, that was a scary U-turn, I know, right? But that was the rant. It's the thing that bothers me is when they say that, because it's not true. It's capitalism as it is, and if you want a loan, then go and get a loan. So this is the thing that is so funny, and why you always have problems with socialism deteriorating into like despotism. People, the checks aren't even in the mail yet, and people are already complaining about how somebody else got more. Oh, Canada, they gave them 4 months. How come we don't get that? Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm working. Okay. I'm working. I pay taxes. All right. I wake up every day at 5:30. I come and I stream for you guys. Maybe this isn't really work. It's fun. I love it. You guys are great. Okay. But then after that, I go and I'm doing research to figure out, which sectors of the economy are going to be the most important and are going to provide the most value. And I'm doing work to help our healthcare system websites be more reliable, so that when you all have to go and do open enrollment in October, that the website will be able to handle it. That's what I do. I work. What is all these people that got laid off? So my wife, did I tell you this story the other day? My wife, she works for the airline industry. She works for a small local, they do small jets. And she's a flight attendant, but she hasn't been working because she just had a baby. So she's on maternity leave. Well, a lot of these people, they gave them the opportunity to take voluntary leave. So a lot of flight attendants, they took the voluntary leave because they didn't need the money anyways, and they were like, I'd rather not risk it, right? My wife, because she was on maternity leave, was not given that choice. So in May, she's probably, unless something changes, she's probably going to have to go back to work, at the peak of the coronavirus and expose herself and possibly the rest of us to coronavirus. Man, it's kind of interesting to think about. I mean, I'm not mad about working, though. Here's the thing. I don't work for you. I work for me and my family, right? I do these things because there's great reward in it, right? If I do a good job about picking which sectors of the economy are going to be the most important and so on and so forth, if I do my job well, then there's significant reward in it. Okay, that's what I'm doing. What's everybody at home doing? Drinking. Have you seen these videos? I saw this TikTok the other day. It was bottle collection day, and like literally every house had a huge bucket of just alcohol. Like these people were basically being alcoholics the whole week. They're not, working on themselves, developing their skills, trying to become more productive, working around the house and making their environment more comfortable so that they can be happier and more productive workers, teaching their kids things so that their kids can have better opportunities in the future. No, they're drinking. So here's the thing. I'm working. I don't do it for you. You're drinking. You're going to get a freedom check. Here's my suggestion to you guys. If you're getting the freedom check and you're out of work, or you're getting that unemployment and you're making more from being unemployed than you would if you were working because of the way that whole thing worked out. Okay. You know what? You got a freebie. You're welcome. Good luck. Take your freebie and shut the fuck up, because it is so frustrating to see these people. You're at home drinking or doing nothing, and then you complain about what you're gonna this freebie that the government is giving, and I'm happy to give you because we want the economy to continue on. Seriously. Like seriously, you got lucky. Take what you got and be grateful for it. Seriously. That's my rant.
Air Cages says let them drink. Less competition for us.
Let them drink. Oh, I agree. I feel like when everybody else is sitting on their laurels, that is the time to hustle, you know?
Gary Rich says when her wife goes back to work, have her bring the rabbit and claim it's her comfort pet for corona worries.
Hey, maybe that might work. I don't know. I'm hoping that at that point, because at the moment we've been doing pretty okay without her money. You know, a lot of it is that we just spend a lot less money when you're at home. So I'm hoping that things will change, that they'll allow more people to take voluntary leave, or like, quite frankly, by that point, maybe they won't be allowing anybody to fly. I don't know. We should let the rabbit out again today. She was out in the backyard yesterday or last weekend. I think she liked it. She didn't really do anything. She just kind of like sniffed around and walked around. She didn't, I want to see that thing run and hop and stuff. I don't think it knows how to jump. I don't think it knows it's a rabbit. That rabbit. So now I'm just thinking, what do I want to do with? Because I usually can do open source stuff, and this is the time period where we're figuring out the next sprint.
Gary Rich says I'm glad to hear about the rabbit. It makes my day. Ah.
Oh, good. We should make a video. That's what we should do, is we should make a video with the rabbits. I always wanted to do a video that would be like, okay, what will the interest rate be at the end of 2020? Well, that would be kind of a dumb thing to do now. Everybody knows is, So what other kind of prediction can we make the rabbit do? I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying to think about if there's anything I can do with my chatbot, but I think that I got all of the features in there. Assuming that one here any minute now, it's gonna stop. Assuming that I fixed the error message and that it just stops. So we'll see. So I'm wondering, when I give my rant, and there's a few comments, but when I don't get a lot of comments, if it's because everybody agrees with me and there's nothing really much to add, or if it's like, you're just being crazy, Seth, and we don't want to argue with you right now. Oh, in fact, I'm getting a notification that somebody disagreed with me online. That's not what, That's taxpayers providing the avenue for businesses to secure them, not the free market. So it's still socialism. That is not socialism. Socialism is the government taking control of the means of production. You give people a loan, that's not socialism. By the strictest definition of the word, it's not socialism. It's a social program. It's a government program. Maybe there's some things bad about it. Maybe there's not, but it is not socialism. Coming in and saying you cannot provide healthcare insurance anymore, the U.S. government has to do it. That's socialism. Government takeover of an industry. Saying, well, I'm sorry that you guys all didn't save enough. You're all going to fail, and then we're going to buy up all of the oil companies. That would be socialism. Well, I don't know what the market's going to do, but I'm going to be watching really careful, Gary, where we close today. Because if we kind of close generally where we're at. What does that mean? Does that mean that a bunch of options traders made money? I guess because we were significantly more. Um, does that mean option sellers made money if we close like close to 2,500? Mm, mm. And the treasury, well, the treasuries did end up trending up.
That guy says those loans to the corporations will be paid on the backs of the middle class. Funny, it's never the other way around.
Well, I mean, not exactly.
Gary Rich says nobody wants to hold over the weekend. Too much out there for risk.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gary. That's why I'm thinking that they could sell like hardcore into the close, but I don't. Maybe they're already out. Like maybe nobody's really taking long term positions. So they're not paid on the backs of the middle class. That guy, they're paid on the backs of future profits from those corporations. They're loans. Like a loan, you have to pay the loan back with interest. We, the people, make money from this enterprise, like straight up. Of course, there's some things in this bill with loan forgiveness, and who knows how many of those are going to do. And that's mostly the small businesses, okay? But these big corporations, it's not a freebie. It's not a freebie, guy. That's the thing that's really funny is that they're saying like, well, the corporations get all of this. How come we can't get this? Well, if you want to go and take out a huge loan and then pay it back and have that impact your future earnings, then go and get a loan, guys. They're doing all sorts of stuff to make sure that you can go and get loans. Okay, they pay it back. They pay it back. We make money. The 2008 crisis, we made money from it. Probably not even a tenth of how much money we should have made because the government doesn't manage it very well, but we make money from it. Sorry. This is why it bothers me when I say, "Oh, it's socialism," because it is a misrepresentation of what actually happens. One that misinforms people about what actually happens. Because if everybody knew, oh, hey, every time that we bail people out, we make a huge profit off of it, they would be more like, well, let's bail out people every week. Oh, we're at the height of the economy, and this one, WeWork did something stupid. Let's bail them out. Let's bail them. We'll make money. No, we shouldn't do that. But I think that it would be better if people were trending more in that direction than the other direction, which is like to let them fail. It's not me. Let them fail. Are you kidding me? Like, if we didn't do this, if we didn't give them loans, can you have any idea how awful it would end up being? Like, oh my gosh. But no, what we're doing is just like standard central banking policy. I have to apologize again, by the way. At the end of the day, I've dropped a lot of frames, and so you might be a little bit delayed. Like, look at my clock and look at your clock, and you can kind of suss out how far behind you are and if you need to like refresh the page to catch up or something. But on Monday, assuming that it isn't the 64-bit jigsaw, which I don't think it is, I do think that it's the data feed that I'm using. Come Monday, hopefully we will have all that fixed. Well, they're moving back up towards $24.95. I don't think I'm going to pay too much attention to it today, but...
Gary Rich says Ronan Quant models went haywire. That guy says regarding medical insurance, healthcare costs are massively inflated, and they have outpaced wage growth manyfold.
Oh, totally. Of course.
Gary Rich says, did you guys read about Ronan Capsule? They blew up big time.
The healthcare system is a complete mess, but part of that is because certain politicians have been intentionally trying to gum it up. That and the deals that the insurance companies make between them and the hospitals are a real problem. But Ronan's quant models went haywire. I'd not heard about that. How many times, though, did we say, though, that at some point all of these quant models are going to blow up and it's going to be really ugly? I mean, here's the thing. It's really bad out there right now. People aren't allowed to work. More people are, based on their qualifications that they use. I'm sure that a lot of these are temporarily unemployed, but more people are out of work as a percentage of the population than were out of work during the Great Depression. That's pretty bad. We have not even begun to understand how bad it is. And yeah, all of these models that said things like, sell the options, they're screwed. Some people did sell options and made out through it okay, but man, I'm sure that there's so many models that just got demolished. Okay. So that one's giving me another short, but it's we're still like uncertain. I think that if you were going to take one, I think I would rather take the short than the long. So maybe you could take the short and get 10 out of it, but I bet you it's going to fight us a little bit on that one first. It's at 24.91. I'm just waiting here because I'm supposed to get the whole you're out of requests. Normally it happens at around 850. We're getting further than normal, and I don't know how that is possible. At some point that's gonna happen, right? Maybe it happened and it still posts the message. Hold on. Maybe it happened and it still posts the getting new messages bit. No, it'll be in here. Interval, get chat. Well, if I get an error, it's just supposed to not play it. So then if we go into get chat, it'll say getting YouTube messages. So it probably is doing it and I'm just not seeing it. Okay, hold on. So let's turn off the auto read. Catch error, console.log. Error. We'll just log the error itself, and then I will this dot emit. What's the right way that I do it? This dot emit error and then the message. Okay. Okay. Save. And then to fix this, but I can't just restart it because it'll go into the thing and it'll give me the thing. So I guess the best that I can do is restart it and make sure that that compiles. I know you guys probably are like, okay, he's done. After this, we'll probably shut it down. So, but I have to be live to program this. So you stick around. I appreciate it. But And if you're not interested, make sure you give me a like before we go, because we did well today. So, what should we call today's title, by the way? Okay, starting. Oh, syntax error. Single quote. Unable to retrieve live chat ID. Are you live? Stopping interval. Okay, so it built, but it didn't go. And you guys were saying stuff, and it wasn't saying things. So I think that would totally work. This is exactly why the country is 25 trillion in debt. It is only a matter of time before the entire country collapses from these so-called money-making loans. Well, no, that's wrong. That guy, I'm sorry, but what you're saying is just not accurate and is based on misconceptions pushed onto you by politicians with an agenda and is not an accurate reflection of reality. When we bail companies out, we make money on that. The reason that we have such a huge budget problem, the reason that we have such a huge deficit, sorry, let me rephrase. The reason that we have so much debt is because the government runs a huge budget deficit because they have all of these other programs, all these social programs that don't pay for themselves, and huge military expenditures that don't pay for themselves. And we spend more than we make. That is why we have debt. It is not because of bailouts. Uncle Powell, Cousin Mnuchin, and Auntie Lagarde will come to rescue the family markets. It's family love stimulus. There you go. Healthcare costs are a rip-off specifically because of runaway cost increases. Too many middlemen. They add zero value to health or softening off your money. Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about with the hospitals, right? The hospital will make a deal with the insurance provider to say, I will give you a 10% discount on all of our services. But then they can't really afford to give everybody a 10% discount. So what they do is they jack up the price 10%, and then they charge everybody else that higher price, except for that nobody actually pays that higher price because everybody comes from the insurance company. So then the insurance company is paying like what the normal price should be, okay, thinking that they're getting a deal when they're not. But then when you go to the hospital and the hospital is charging too much, you can only use that one insurance provider because they have a deal. And you have to go to like the one hospital that your insurance provider has. And so you're not able to shop around. And so there's not an actual live market where true value is discovered because they can basically charge whatever they want. I'd give you a like there, but there weren't enough rants for my taste. Oh, thanks. Thanks. But I'll try harder next time, Air Cages. Great short setup on STZ. Well, the electrical trade, I know what you're doing, and I don't know if that's because you think they will find it helpful, or if it's because you think that the more people that you can get to go short on that stock, the better it will be for your particular trade. But we don't really trade stocks here, so you're kind of wasting your time. I hope you stick around, though. Maybe. Okay, that simply false. Corporate welfare utilizes a much greater portion of the budget than whatever social privet. Because we made money on the bailouts, bud. You can go back and look at the numbers. On some of those investments, I do think that we lost money. But in general, we made money on those investments. They're loans that get paid back. Corporate welfare utilizes a much greater portion of the budget than whatever socialism that you condemn. Well, it does use a significant portion of the budget, but that's because we make money on it. This is the whole thing is like you should spend money on assets, not liabilities. Okay. Unfortunately, most people in society end up being liabilities. If the government goes and gives, like what they're going to do here with these checks, what is everybody going to do with them? Because if you just go and buy toilet paper with it, it's not going to help the economy. Sorry, that's money down the drain. It only helps the economy if you put it into something that allows companies to invest and grow their businesses, right? That if that money eventually makes it into assets. So the government is more than willing to give companies special breaks and special what we call corporate welfare, because the government makes money off of it. They help that company makes money, and then the company turns around and pays taxes, and because you've grown GDP, the government makes more money back in taxes. And they continue to do it over and over again because it works, because they make money from it, guys. The insurance industry is extremely anti-competitive and inflates costs. Well, I would agree with you that the insurance industry, as it is right now, is not very competitive. I don't necessarily think that that's the insurance company's fault so much as it is the way that the regulations are set up right now. There are a lot of things that we could do to increase competition in the insurance industry, and it would probably do a lot to control costs. Getting everybody off of the insurance from their company would probably be one thing. Allowing people to buy across state lines would maybe be another thing. Tort reform so that they don't have to have as much money for, when they screw up, might be one thing that would help. Getting rid of the ability for hospitals and insurance companies to make special deals would be something that would really, really help a lot. There's lots of things that they can do to control costs and make things more competitive. But for some reason, whenever we try to do those things, Congress doesn't want to do it. All right, it is 9:09. I just don't like how the stimulus money has these restrictions and rules, such crap, to give to those who are displaced by the virus. Easy, not hard to do. Yeah, well, and I'm not 100% sure on what those restrictions and rules are that you're specifically talking about. I know there's a lot of things about with the loans that, like, if you don't lay anybody off, then you get this perk and you get that perk. But my analysis of like just giving everybody a check like they're going to do is that it tends not to work. But this is such a unique situation, so I really don't know what's going to happen. We're going to have to look and see how there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to learn, right? We're going to learn what the impact is when you give everybody all this stuff. We're going to learn about what the limits are of, pushing demand forward or back through such a situation, because this is like the most extreme situation that you can ever get. We're going to learn a lot about that. We're going to learn a lot about what happens when you pay people more for not working, right? Yeah, and I hope that there's going to be whole new branches of economics to study the new questions that we really can't answer. Corporate socialism is a failed proposal. For example, giving a handout of $4 billion to Big Sugar is not a money-making proposition that makes no sense. Sure, it is. If you give the sugar industry a $4 billion loan, and then they pay that $4 billion loan back, and they pay 4% interest on that across 10 years, that is a ton of fucking money that you just made, man. That's like you made $1 billion off of that transaction. You made money off of that. And that company is now bigger and more successful and pays more taxes. The government literally makes multiples on what they give those companies. That's why they do it. If they didn't make money from it, they wouldn't do it, dude. There would be absolutely no incentive for the politicians to do it. They don't make money. Nobody makes money from it. They wouldn't do it. If they were just siphoning all of that money off and just hoarding it all, it wouldn't work. That's not how capitalism works, right? Money goes to where you get the best return. Governments can get a return on their money too, and they do it, and they're successful at it. They could be much more successful than they are. Politicians won't do anything to drive down the healthcare costs. Well, due to the Government of DC lobbyists. I think it's more complicated than that. I mean, part of the problem is that is just a really complicated problem, you know? Oh, I mean, if you have X certain races, genders, and all those are capitals. Yeah. Did that stuff actually make it into the final bill? I have to go back and look. I guess I know that there was all those things about like um you have to have certain diversity on your corporate board. I thought that they took that stuff out. That was in Nancy's bill. I don't think that that made it into the final bill. Tell you what, if you can find that in the bill that passed, then show me that because I don't think that it's in there. But I could be wrong. I haven't read the whole bill. It's a big bill, right? I've seen some passages of it, and I don't know if I care too much to go and try and find it. Mm. Yeah, my little change definitely worked. So cool. I should have just put an error message in it from the start. The House passed their version. Well, yeah, they passed their. Well, did they pass it? All I know is that that's not what ended up happening. But there was some things in there that weren't exactly what Republicans wanted, like the whole thing about you get paid $800 a week for being unemployed, and if you make less than that, then you end up getting more for not working. That's a real problem. That's a real problem. We're going to see some crazy unemployment numbers because of that. Already seeing it. Okay. I'm yapping. I don't feel like even though I love you guys and I want to keep talking, but I don't know if I'm really providing that much value for you anymore. So we will shut it down. Next week should be good. So I'm excited. We're not sure. Oh wait, we got to come up with a title. What do we come up with a title? Let's say, hey YouTube, I'm not shadow banned from church anymore. Hey, I'm not shadow banned anymore. Or we could do Seth goes on rant. Let's go to I'm not talking about a one-time bailout loan. I was referring to the yearly subsidy given to sugar. Well, okay, so sure. The government will give certain companies, like I think a better example would be oil companies. They give oil companies a subsidy. They give those companies a subsidy because one, they want their business, and two, they want a lot of oil, so they want the price of oil to be low. In the case of sugar, they want the price of sugar to be low. We make money from that. You realize, right? We make money from that because that company does well. They bring their business here, and then we get to collect the taxes on it. And in the long run, the amount of money that we make in taxes is way more than the amount of money that you're giving them in the subsidy. Listen, if you want a subsidy, here's a suggestion. Go and do something that's really valuable to the economy and that politicians really want in their country. And I bet you that they'll probably give you some subsidies if you want subsidies. I don't know how to put this. What should I put in the title here? I don't know. Non-farms. Non-farms. And what was the other thing that we were looking at? Manufacturing ISM. I'm going to make it the most boring title in the world. Have a good week. I'll see you Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable.